So good morning. It is 7 o'clock in the morning, and my neighbor just woke up. I can hear him, so I don't want to make too much noise. But I wanted to look at a passage in the Bible that talks about apologetics, which doesn't mean, hey, sorry. It doesn't mean you're apologizing, but apologetics just means you're making a defense for the gospel, a defense, well, for the hope that you have in Jesus, even though it's very, very hard. I get this from 1 Peter chapter 3. Let me just read to you from verse 13. It says, "Who's there to harm you if you're zealous for what is good? But," verse 14, "even if you should suffer for righteousness' sake, you'll be blessed." And so already the first thing that we see in this context for this defense, this apologetics, what suffering. You're suffering as a Christian. You're suffering because, well, Jesus suffered. And so we should expect as Christians, we will suffer as well. But then it says, "Have no fear of them, nor be troubled." But in verse 15, "In your hearts, honor Christ the Lord as holy." So this is your response as you're being persecuted, as you're suffering. Well, you're not retaliating. You're actually honoring Christ as Lord. That means you're not being afraid of that. You're revering Christ, but also you're trusting God all the more in the midst of your suffering. And then verse 15 continues, "Always being prepared to make a defense." That's apologetics. You're making a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you. Yet, do this with gentleness and respect. So you see, people see your response to suffering, and they're asking you, "Hey, why are you still a Christian?" or it says here, "Why do you have this hope inside of you? What's the reason?" It doesn't make any sense. And then what you do is you respond in a gentle, in a respectful way, but also in a reasonable way. Hey, there's a good reason for me to keep trusting in God, and it's because that is apologetics. So again, three things. First of all, the context is, well, persecution and suffering. We should expect to suffer because Jesus suffered. But secondly, our response is not to retaliate, is to trust in God even more, is to hope in Christ anymore. And thirdly, people will see this. People will then ask you the reason for this. And that's when you do apologetics. That's when you answer in a very respectful, reasonable way that it makes sense to trust in Jesus. Okay, I'm going to eat breakfast.